We
Good.
are ready. All right. I want to welcome everyone to our first meeting of 2023, the Wednesday, January 11th, Board of Zoning Adjustment regular meeting. We'll start with a roll call.
Drew Goodner,
Here.
Frost Rollins,
Here.
Emmy Sorrells,
Here.
Kim White,
Here.
Marty Heffron,
Here.
Letitia Smith,
Here.
Mary Boyd.
Here.
And then the approval of minutes. Looks like our last minutes are from August 3rd.
Make a motion to approve.
Second. Drew Goodner,
Yes.
Frost Rollins,
Yes.
Emmy Sorrell,
Yes.
Kim White,
Yes.
Marty Heffron,
Yes.
Letitia Smith,
Yes.
Mary Boyd.
Yes.
All right, got an opening remark. Any persons aggrieved by any decision of the board may within 15 days after such decision appeal to the circuit court having jurisdiction according to section 908.02 of the zoning ordinance of the city of Auburn, Alabama. And new business.
Good afternoon. This request is for a variance to the performance standards for a twin house development, specifically to the required 25-foot minimum setback for a side yard on a street. The applicant's original request was for a variance of 10 feet to allow a setback of 15 feet. And since your packets went out, they have revised the site plan and reduced the request to a variance of 7 feet to allow a setback of 18 feet. The property is located at 603 Harper Avenue at the corner of Harper and Summerhill Road. It is just under 8,000 square feet. Together with it and the adjacent property to the north, it creates the development site for the twin house development. The land use in the area is primarily single family. Here we've got some vacant lots, church here to the west, duplexes to the north of the subject property, and with the exception of one duplex lot here on Harper Circle, those are single-family detached. And to the south on Harper, mainly or primarily single-family detached, there is ongoing redevelopment along that street. And the duplexes on the subject property have been demolished. The Prox map shows that the property is in the MDRD zoning district. There is DDH and CRDE surrounding in the area. A number of permitted uses in MDRD would permit as little as a 10-foot setback for a side yard on a street. Townhouses and cottage developments are both permitted uses in MDRD and allow up to a 10-foot side yard on street setback. Single-family detached, which is a permitted use, and academic detached dwelling units, a conditional use, allow up to a 15-foot side yard on street setback. And then the same is true for the CRDE district, with the exception that ADDUs are not permitted in that zoning district. Here's the site plan for the proposed townhouse development. It's currently 2 lots, and the applicant would be subdividing into 4 lots for 2 twin unit structures for a total of 4 twin house units. Each would be located on their own lot. And the BZA previously granted variances to the maximum FAR allowance for 3 of the proposed units back in March of 2022. Here's a close-up of the site. The irregular shape here makes it challenging to subdivide the property in a way that the 25-foot side yard on a street setback is met while maintaining the FAR allowances allowed by the previously granted variances. The site plan shows a setback of 18 feet from the property line, which does require a variance of 7 feet. And there is a 15-foot buffer yard here along Harper Avenue, which will have required landscaping planted there as well. Let me go back one. Nope, we're done here. This picture is taken from the corner of Harper and Summerhill, looking north to the site. The setback would be measured from about 6 feet behind the utility pole here. The adjacent single-family home to the east here, for reference, is about 22 feet from the property line. This picture is probably about the center point of the development site looking north. The applicant has taken steps to retain large existing mature trees on site, these red and white oaks, and are hoping to be able to have those remain. This picture is taken from the northern end of the site looking down towards Harper. The lot does slope down towards the south, and you can see the large trees. There's the white oak that was in the previous picture. And right about here is the current property line between those two lots. The variance supports the twin house development for which the BZA previously granted variances to the maximum FAR, and would allow the development to be constructed as the applicant proposed at that time. Staff does recommend approval with the condition that the variance is limited to 7 feet to allow an 18-foot side yard on street setback, as shown on the site plan dated January 9th, 2023.
Thank you.
Thanks.
What, you said that there were a few, so this one requires 25 feet, but you rattled off a few uses that require 15 or 10 feet?
Townhomes and cottage developments would allow a 10-foot side yard on street setback, and single-family and ADDUs allow up to 15.
So what use is this that's requiring
Is this a
25?
town- yes.
Twin
This is
home?
twin house,
This is a
and
twin
it
house.
requires 25.
What is the difference there?
I honestly don't know.
Okay. So, because we're 18 feet and there's lots of uses that could be 10.
Correct.
I mean, all I would say is that, I don't know if anyone else has an explanation for it, but it's in our code today. It dates back to, I don't know when. But certainly I would say that it does look interesting that some of the uses would have a much significant reduced side yard setback versus this, when the impact you would think would not be any different. So that's one of those things I think that we would take a look at in the future. It doesn't make any sense to change the code to have a little more consistency between those uses.
Yeah, because I think we've seen a lot of twin home versus the townhome. The code seems to allow a lot of uses, a lot more density, FAR, everything, and then we get variance requests for something that's utilizing the property less and less bedrooms, and it's just an oddity in the code, I guess.
Yes, I have a question. So for clarification, there was already a variance previously approved. So is this variance to allow us to stay in alignment with that variance?
Yes,
Or can you get away without having this variance and still meet the requirements that we were trying to put forth with the previous variance?
No, this
Okay.
variance would allow the plan that you approved, or the variance you approved back in March of last year, to go forward,
Okay.
just with this reduced setback.
Is this mainly for the trees? Is there, like, they wouldn't have to do this if they weren't trying to preserve the trees? Because it
They
looks like
want-
on that northern corner that there's room, but they're just trying to avoid like having to take down the trees if they don't have to.
And I think there might be grading issues as well.
Okay.
I believe the applicant is probably here too, if you decide you have some questions
Okay,
you want to ask
okay.
the applicant.
Okay. Any more questions for staff? Would the applicant like to speak?
Ledge Nettles baseline surveying, you're right. There is a grade change. It ramps up right there. And so the more you push into that hill, obviously you're gonna, A, clear the trees. And B, you're gonna dig into that hill, and you're gonna be sitting there looking at a slope right here. So That's a lot of what they're trying to do right there, is trying to keep that thing, and your driveway is coming out right there at that bank, and we're trying to push it away from that a little bit. You know, so you're not just staring right into the bank when you try to come out and you, all of a sudden, whoo, you're surprised.
Right. For
So that's-
grading, I would assume for grading and drainage issues too, that's gonna help
Yeah.
alleviate that quite a bit.
You'd
Okay.
rather keep that building away from that slope a little
Right.
bit. So we did have like a 3-to-1 slope right there, and then just played it down and came on out with it.
It's deceiving when you drive by. I drive by that all the time, that abandoned truck, and I'm like, you don't know that that's a
No,
big slope. I don't know if I've ever driven up Summer Hill, so.
Yeah, it's hard to see a slope sometimes. You look at it and you think it's flat, and you look at it and you're like, wow, there's 13 feet of fall or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway. Any questions? Just
I have
yeah.
one. So I wouldn't want to condition the variance on this, but will y'all make best efforts to preserve those oaks?
Oh yeah, he wants to keep those.
Okay.
He does not want to cut those. That's why he kept them in the first place.
I just know some people use trees as an excuse
That's
to get a
right.
variance, and
That's
then they're
right.
like, haha. let me
Well,
do
no,
that."
he would have definitely cleared them when he had the chance, because it'd have been cheaper than bringing somebody back out later, because it'd have cost him more. But he wanted me to keep all those trees, and I said, hey, a certain amount of them are going to have to go, you know, and so that's what we came up with.
Thank you.
Are we able to condition something, condition on tree preservation?
That would be hard to,
I mean, I don't think it's ever come up before.
Yeah, I was
it's
just
never
worried.
come up that I remember. I think it would be hard on something that could naturally die. I mean, that's a
Right.
very difficult condition.
Well, I don't think well,
But it doesn't
couple of
naturally
couple
get cut
things on
down.
that. You know, if you had a condition on there that said, let's say he showed, it would be nicer if the plan showed the trees, and you said, you know, those 2 oak trees or something like that need to be preserved during construction and protected. Now, if they die 5 years from now, you're not saying you've got to replace them or anything like that. But I would say it's not out of the ordinary to, if that's something that's in your mind, that you're justifying part of this because of the retaining of existing vegetation or something like that. I wouldn't have a disagreement with that. You may not have done it before, but I think it's
We've
within the
granted
realm of
variances based on,
acceptance.
there was one where they were
There
trying to
was
put in a
one.
handicap ramp,
I
and they wanted to
remember
keep a
now.
beautiful water oak, and so we didn't make it conditional on that, but that was their entire intent, was to do that, so we've made allowances for that before.
Well, and what you mentioned also, you know, most of what you see when you see a side setback on street, it's somewhere around like a 75% of your front setback. This is a very odd case where you get, you know, you get penalized twice, you know, on this one, front and side too. And it's just seeing, you know, I mean, this is one of the first I've seen like that in that aspect, because I'm used to it. I'm used to seeing 20-foot setback, you're going to have a 15-foot front on the street or something like that. So this is just an odd one, very odd. I think Steve mentioned it. It'd probably be worth looking at in the future, because it just doesn't seem to match. It's like it's not way out of place than the others.
Right.
You know, it just seems odd. So anyway, that's another part of that whole thing too. It's just a myriad here.
Well, and as Amber said, you also have a buffer yard on that Harper side anyway, so.
So it looks like what you did to reduce from 10 feet to 7 feet is just shift everything up a little bit?
That's right. And one of the other reasons for that is we put a storm drain on the front right there. And I wanted just a little bit more room to kind of cut that down through there and try to not hit the footing or anything. And that gave me plenty of room to be safe, you know, move that storm drainage, because that was one of the comments from staff was, you know, get the drainage caulked behind it. Well, then I got to catch that drainage and shift it down towards that inlet at the front. So it gave me just enough room I had enough room, but I felt better if we could move it maybe just 3 more feet and not, you know, that didn't hurt me too bad north, but if I keep going, I'm going to start, you know, hitting it bad.
I'm assuming, is that utility easement that's, like, where, I don't see the storm drain on the plat.
Oh, no, that'd be
Okay.
on the grade and
On
drainage
the grade,
plan,
okay.
so it won't show there, but if you can, it's at the back corner of that lot back there. Basically, if you can imagine the drainage ditch coming down the back of it and catching just before the sidewalk, we're gonna berm it up a little bit.
Okay.
Catch it there so that all that water doesn't come over the sidewalk and into the street, so it's gonna catch in that little inlet, pipe to an inlet that's at the, street corner.
Okay.
Fairly
Oh,
shallow.
Okay, okay. Like right here, drainage utilities. Okay.
Thank you, Joel. Sorry. Thank you, Ledge. All right, we'll now open the public hearing if anyone would like to speak in support or against this variance. All right. Are y'all for it or against it? For it. Okay, we've got one going.
Y'all just canceled each other out.
Right. All right, we will close the public hearing and open up to the board for discussion and/or a motion.
I think it's a well-stated case that just affirms what we already tried to accomplish with the other variants and goes a little further, makes it better for us, makes it better for the developer. So,
Yeah, I think it's
No objections. I think it's fine.
good. I will make a motion to approve BZ 20220018, a variance of 7 feet to the required 25-foot minimum setback. That is correct, isn't it? 7 was the revised.
7 feet?
Did you want to condition it on the plat shown like Amber mentioned?
I would support that.
Condition it on what?
How did you word that, Amber?
On the plat, the new
As shown on the
revised
site
plat
plan.
is shown on the site plan.
Dated January 9th, 2023.
And can we add in the tree condition with the language that Steve articulated? Which you might have to re-articulate.
Say that again for us.
In my mind, if you're concerned about the trees, and I'm not sure where, I mean, obviously they've got some fencing already up, a lot of times you'll just say, provide limits of disturbance that would protect the existing trees on the north end of the lot. We don't have to say, I don't know if the legend knows how many that is or not, but we can work with them to make sure that all the trees are not removed. I just don't have all the facts, but I understand what you're trying to accomplish, yeah.
Yeah, so conditioned on the site plan from, what was the date on it, Amber? January 9th, 2023. I'm not inclined to put anything in there about the trees, but I would listen to the board. I just think it's something that's hard to monitor and think they're gonna do the best they can, but
I agree on that. I'll second.
Drew Goodner,
yes?
Frost Rollins,
Yes?
Emmy Sorrells,
Yes.
Kim White,
Yes.
Marty Heffron.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, is there any other business?
Mr. Chairman, we do have on your agenda the election of officers for, this is your annual meeting, so that's when you would elect the new chairman or re-elect the chairman and the vice chairman.
All right, we will go to the election of officers. Take any nominations. I know Kim is rolling off. We will start with a nomination or discussion for a chairperson.
The person with the most experience, Drew Goodner, as my nomination to remain chair.
Second.
Drew, is that
Yeah, sounds great. Yep. Sounds good to me.
Drew Goodner,
Yes?
Frost Rollins,
Yes.
Emmy Sorrells,
Yes.
Kim White,
Yes.
Marty Heffron,
Yes.
Letitia Smith,
Yes.
Mary Boyd.
Yes.
And then we will discuss and nominate a vice chair.
Person with the longest experience, next longest experience will be Frost, or,
Oh.
correct?
I think so.
So I would like to nominate Frost for vice chair. Frost
I'll
Rollins.
second it.
Drew Goodner,
Yes?
Frost Rollins,
Yes.
Emmy Sorrells,
Yes.
Kim White,
Yes.
Marty Heffron,
Yes.
Letitia Smith,
Yes.
Mary Boyd.
Yes.
I don't have any communication besides Kim. Thank you for your 7 years, I think.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's
Kim.
been great.
We will miss you. I'll miss y'all too.
Drop back by, check on us,
I'll have to request a variance for something.
come in and get something.
You can deny it. There you go.
I think
Put a
Kim has had to
mural outside
recuse
your
herself
house.
from
Yeah.
more cases than anyone, but due to her work.
Due to her work. Hey, just put a mural on the side of your house and we'll come after you.
Yeah.
Any staff communication?
Not tonight. I was going to say the same thing. We appreciate Kim's dedication and service to the board and to the city. And of course, next month, Letitia will move into a regular role with the board and replace Kim in that venue. And then we have one vacancy for supernumerary, and I think that's in the process of being filled. So we'll
Okay, we have some
follow
applications for that.
We do have applications for that.
Good.
Thank you.
All right, I think that's it. We are adjourned.
Get to keep the gavel.